Well, happy Wednesday to you, Coach Kahl. And since the last time we talked, you've played 4 games. We snuck our episode in a little early last week on Tuesday for the Thanksgiving holiday. So in the last week, you've played at UW Stout, at UW La Crosse, versus Luther at La Crosse on Sunday, and then at Augsburg last night. All 4 losses. What do you take from team performances? What do you take going forward from those 4 games?
Well, we try to build every game, and I think there were some games where we took some positive steps, and then a couple games where we actually didn't play as well as we had hoped. I thought the first 2 games in that stretch, the scores might not. The scores were actually closer in the last 2 games, but I felt like the better 2 games we played were the first 2. The scores kind of got extended a little bit at the end, but we're trying to take positive steps. We're trying to, do things better that we're trying to do, try to do things as a team a little bit better. Still have some issues that have come up in all 4 games that continue to plague us, us turning the ball over too much and us giving up too many offensive rebounds. So those are things that we continue to work on, and they have been evident in all 4 of those games.
What individual performances would you pull from those games? I'm not going to go game by game on your analysis, but I know Katie DeWitt had a couple double-doubles, which is nothing new to us at Northwestern here. Megan Myrie had her first double-double of the season last night against Augsburg. Are there individual performances that you pull out of that and say, that's good, that's something to dwell on?
Yeah, those 2 definitely stood out. Megan's been shooting the ball really well. I think in the last 4 games she's almost up around 55% from the floor. I think she was 7 of 7 from the floor against La Crosse, which was a really good game. Katie had 2 good games. She had 2 very good games in the La Crosse tournament, and then got a little bit of foul trouble last night at Augsburg and limited her time. She still ended up with, I think, 16 points in 22 minutes. So she's had some good stretches. And then I think Kristen Cembluski too has done a good job. She's been getting more and more consistent. Played 38 minutes last night, had 7 assists, and she's shot it pretty well from the 3-point line the last 4 games. So I think those have been some individual performances that have been positive for us.
Let's talk a little bit about Kristen, because she came to your team in the off-season, senior transfer from Hamlin, and up until last night, the thing that really stuck out was her turnovers were very, very low. 0, 1, 2 in significant minutes. Is it nice to see that kind of breath of fresh air as far as a low turnover ratio or assisted turnover ratio?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think she ended up with 4 of them last night, and a couple of them were, they're all 4 belonged to her, but a couple of them were tired turnovers. We asked her to play a lot of minutes last night, and she really had to handle a lot of pressure. Augsburg put a lot of pressure on last night, and she did a good job with that. So she's real solid with the basketball. She's done a nice job of handling pressure, and that's something that we really need because we continue to struggle with that as a team.
Kristen, Allison Johnson, and Molly Sir are a trio of players who are averaging over 6 points per game right now for you, behind DeWitt and Myrie. Even though the stats may not shine out as far as points scored, how crucial is it to have Allison Johnson on the floor, given her rebounding ability and just overall leadership?
You hit it right on the head there. Her overall leadership has been tremendous all year. She really understands what we're trying to do. And she works extremely hard. She's in the right positions most of the time. She really, like I said, understands what we're trying to do, and she's a great leader for us. She's been a good player in the offensive glass. She's gotten some putbacks. So we found it crucial to have her. She's kind of our glue out there.
Looking forward, you have 2 games in the next week, which is half of what you've had in the last week. On Friday night, December 3rd, here in the Erickson Center, you host Finlandia University, and then next Wednesday you host UW Superior before taking an elongated break. Tell us what you know about Finlandia coming into Friday's game.
Well, I know they're a team that's off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think their record may be a little deceiving, and their stats may be a little bit deceiving because of the competition that they've played. They've played some Division II teams, several of them. So I think they're just trying to get a feel for what kind of team they're going to be. Same thing that we are. I know they have some good young players that are kind of leading them. I haven't seen a lot of film on them yet, but I expect that they'll come in here hungry for a win, just like we will, and it should be a fun atmosphere on Friday night.
As we mentioned, you have 4 games last week, 2 games in the next week, and then you have until January off, essentially, or right after Christmas break. How do you prepare your team in practice? I mean, because I'm sure you take it a little easier in practice when you have so many games packed in there, but then when the schedule slows down a little bit before that tournament after Christmas and then conference season, how do you prepare your team? How do you guys practice?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to that time because we just need some practice time. We've had so much game time. We have so many things we need to correct, and it's hard to do when you have a big stretch of games like we've had. So I don't know if the girls are looking forward to it as much as the coaches are. Just getting some time to practice. We'll have 2 solid weeks, 2 different chunks of weeks to practice in that time, and we'll take a good time off for Christmas too. They'll get some good time to go home. So we'll have a week to practice. We'll have finals week. And then actually we come back, we practice on the 27th and 28th and play on the 29th, so we won't have a good chunk of time right before we play there. But then before we have the conference season again, there's another little set that we get to practice. So I'm looking forward to that time. We need to use that time to correct things that we're not doing well, to add some new things and to get ready for the conference season.